Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again as we broadcast live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. Tim Dillard will join us coming up here in about 15 minutes. FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin Brewers analyst, as the Brewers get ready to take on the Giants tonight. We're out here at Kelly's Bleachers on Blue Mountain till 7 o'clock. Come on out, hang out with us. Brought to you by Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea, real vodka, refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. No bubbles to fill you up. It's a perfect game day sipper. $5 is all it will cost you to have one of those here at Kelly's Bleachers while we're here until 7 o'clock. I'm out here till 5:30. And then from 5:30 to 7, the big old hunk of love. Tommy Wirtz will be out here with the leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Again, leadoff show today. You'll hear from Pat Murphy. You'll hear from Willie Adames before today's game against the Giants. So looking forward to having Tommy out here. And all kinds of stuff to give away out here as well at Kelly's Bleachers. We got our shirts, our relief pitcher shirts out here. Pop sockets for the phones. We got the stress balls, got bucket hats, got little bags with the fan logo on it. We'll give away as well. We'll do some trivia here as we get a little bit deeper into the afternoon to give those away. All right, I said this before, but my guy Charlie Usen here was on Fangraphs and found some, he called it a category that I did not know about. I am not aware of. I'm not hip. Apparently, this category has been around for like 15 years, Charlie said. So go ahead, Charlie. Let's educate us, all of us old people listening.
So Fangraphs came up with this classification for certain levels of players back in 2010. This is Piper Slowinski on Fangraphs. Her article on here. Replacement level is simply the level of production you get from a player that would cost you nothing but the league minimum salary to acquire. Minor league free agents, quad A players, you get the idea. The concept is pretty tidy. These are the players that are freely available, and if 5 of your MLB level players came down with the flu, you could go out and acquire replacement level players without really giving up anything. In other words, if you had no one on your roster on March 1st and just needed to populate your team, you're generally signing replacement level players. So kind of those 0-0 war type of players at the middle. So if we head over to Twitter, this is a graphic that was put together by Fangraphs and retweeted by Jake on Twitter, a guy that is a follower of the Fan Milwaukee. He put this out, number of sub-replacement level players. So these are the players that are worse than maybe that league average player on any given roster. Bad players. So the teams with the most sub-replacement level players on their active roster currently are teams like the Colorado Rockies with 11 sub-replacement level players. The Washington Nationals with 10. Miami Marlins have 8 of them.
Bad teams.
Minnesota Twins have 10 of them as well. So not always the worst teams, but some teams that, could be better. So that should be better. Do not have it. Boston has 8 sub-replacement level players on their roster currently, and they are a team that's fighting for a playoff spot right now. The Milwaukee Brewers are the only team in baseball as of 2 days ago, which is when this was put out, that have 0 sub-replacement level players. The Toronto Blue Jays have 1. They're the next closest to that. And then the Yankees.
Other great team in baseball, Toronto, yes.
Yankees and Dodgers both have 3, and the Phillies have 4. The Mets also have 3.
Okay, so what's the conversation? It's simple. Don't have players that suck on your team, and you win a lot of baseball games, right? I mean, that's pretty much what we're talking about here. And it also goes, I know a lot of people love Murphy and when he does this, but all this average Joe stuff, nobody knows who we are, all that doesn't fit this. Like, the Rockies could say that. The Twins could say that, right? There are teams clearly loaded with crappy players that nobody knows about and won't know about after this year either that are on these rosters. This Brewers team is going to be in a position. Listen, you're getting Rhys Hoskins back. You're getting Jake Bauers back. You're getting Jackson Chourio back, which should mean that Siegler goes back down, right? Lockridge goes back down. So some of these guys are going to be gone off of the roster for true veteran Major League Baseball players that are going to be added to this roster. So even the weak points on this roster are going to be sent back down to Nashville as soon as these 3 guys are healthy. Chourio starts his rehab assignment, I want to say tonight. Bauers and Hoskins have already been on their rehab assignment. They're about ready to come back. So from that perspective, That's a credit to Matt Arnold on putting this roster together and giving them at least average Major League Baseball players for Pat Murphy to work with and not filling it in with a bunch of crap to fill out a roster like what is happening in Colorado and why they, could very well have the worst record ever in baseball at some point. I'm surprised I didn't hear the White Sox, to be honest with you, because the White Sox also equally bad. Now, they've played better in the second half since the All-Star break, so they could deserve credit there. But you would expect they would have been in there too.
The White Sox only have 6 on their roster, which is tied with teams like Cleveland, who's a pretty good roster. That's less than Texas, who has 7 currently on their roster. Seattle only has 5. So they're right in that territory. I think the biggest key to this is that when we talk about the Milwaukee Brewers and the way that the Brewers talk about the Milwaukee Brewers, like you said, Pat Murphy always talks about them as underdogs, all this, you would expect that number to be higher. And there's good teams on this list that do have a lot of players in that category. Again, Boston's still right now one of the best teams in the AL East, but they have 8 of them on their roster. Miami isn't the worst team in baseball. They're a team that's constantly fighting. They have 8 of them on their roster too. So it's not always that the best teams just have a low number of them. I think there's good teams that are battling through this. And I think a lot of people would imagine the Brewers are in that category of team. But to have 0 is, like you said, a testament to Matt Arnold and their ability to move on from players if they're not working out. I think at the beginning of the season, a lot of people were afraid that Vinny Capra would, for some reason, still be a part of this roster at some point. And they moved on from him really quick. The moment Tobias Myers started kind of falling apart and Pat Murphy had a problem with him, they moved on from that until he was good enough to go at the major league level again. Chad Patrick, when they were ready to move on from that, when they were ready to bring up a guy like Jacob Mizorowski or bring back Brandon Woodruff, they very quickly moved on from that the moment he started not playing well. And then you also have Pat Murphy bringing in guys like Andrew Monasterio, getting the best out of an Andrew Monasterio, bringing in guys like Abner Uribe, who in the past few years have been up and down and just making him a very consistent player. It's a testament to the coaching staff and the training staff and the front office. Everybody around this Brewers organization just does it right.
Correct. And that is why they are probably the best run organization in Major League Baseball at this point. There is no World Series to show for it. There's no World Series appearance to show for it. Now, here at Kelly's Bleachers, I got a dude in front of me with a Willie Adames jersey on, and he's just chilling, right? And then the guy next to him is wearing a Bryce Harper Phillies jersey. Can we talk about Philadelphia just a little bit?
Sure.
Because Philadelphia is a team that spends a lot of money, right? And doesn't have to deal with the way that Milwaukee has to go about doing things. But Philadelphia also has a guy that runs baseball operations named Dave Dombrowski, who I've known for years. And I love Dombrowski. I've always been a fan of Dombrowski. Having said that, I don't think Dombrowski could come to Milwaukee and run this thing the way that Doug Melvin did, the way that David Stearns did, the way that Matt Arnold has at this point. David Dombrowski, when he was in and with the Marlins organization, he was afforded, back when they bought themselves a World Series, a large payroll. He was in Detroit, again, afforded a large payroll and knows how to spend that money. Philadelphia, again, allotted a large payroll and knows how to spend that money. If Dave Dombrowski was set into a small market, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, wherever, I don't think he'd have the same success. The interesting thing about this is you could take it and reverse it and go, what about David Stearns? David Stearns is a guy who knew how to operate within a small budget, knew how to operate and build a farm system that has been unbelievable over the course of time, right? And have that continuous flow. But what we don't know about David Stearns is, does David Stearns with the Mets know how to operate with a big payroll? The other thing we know about David Stearns is he is going to be under the microscope to win a World Series. When you're in Milwaukee, there is no microscope to win a World Series with the Brewers, like there is in Philly for Dombrowski, like there is in New York with David Stearns, or Cashman in New York with the Yankees. It's win or else. So if David Stearns doesn't get that team, to a World Series and win a World Series in, 5-6 years, that might be the end of the lifelong kid dream of David Stearns at the end of the day. It's just fascinating how some guys are really good in certain markets and then can't operate in others. And I think, and the Bryce Harper jersey guy, thank you for wearing the Bryce Harper jersey, that kind of is what sticks out to me. I don't know what Matt Arnold would be in a bigger market. Matt Arnold came when David Stearns came. Remember, Stearns came from the Astros when he came over to Milwaukee to be the general manager of this team. Matt Arnold came from the Tampa Bay Rays. Don't have the big payroll. Have to operate, on the edges, the fringes with what they're going to spend money-wise. Have to have the good farm system. So Matt Arnold comes over with Stearns. They involve the analytics. They help each other. They build this thing. If Matt Arnold were to leave at some point to go to a larger market, how much success would he have with more money? Because Brewers fans are all about spend more, spend more, spend more, spend more. You could give Matt Arnold $60 more million next year. That does not mean they're going to win 100 games. That does not mean that they're going to go to the World Series, because you don't know what the choices would be with that additional money.
Well, and just because you are given more money doesn't mean you're always given more freedom. I think if an owner is giving you that much money, allowing you to spend that much money, I think sometimes the owner wants to have his hand in what is happening in that situation. Let's take a look at Jerry Jones, who just made himself the GM, basically, just so that he didn't even have to go through all of that process.
Right.
I think when you look at teams like the Mets, what are the odds that David Stearns was really, truly willing to pay Juan Soto all that money? But when the family that owns the Mets comes in and says, you know what, we want Juan Soto because he was on the Yankees. We don't want the Yankees to get him. That's our enemy. We want to bring him over to this side of New York, even if we feel like he's not worth one of the biggest contracts in baseball at this point, which last season he did prove, at least in the first half of the year, that he's worth a lot of money. But there are a lot of other teams willing to pay that money too. I think the ownership has to put their hands into that. And for a GM, that may be a little bit frustrating, even if you have all this extra freedom that you wouldn't have with the Milwaukee Brewers. At least Mark Attanasio seems like he's not caring about which players you sign as long as it's under his budget.
The other part about this too, when we talk about perfect fits for perfect organizations and really what makes the most sense, Arnold was a benefactor of David Stearns, who brought him in. I don't know, and we can ask Tim Dillard when he joins us here in a couple minutes from American Family Field, who is that guy now that benefits if Matt Arnold leaves? Who's that next guy in line to go forward? Because if it's me, Charlie, I don't want to go outside of the circle of trust, as my buddy Adam Burnett would say. I don't want to go outside the circle of trust and go hire somebody from the Cubs or go hire somebody from the Tigers to come in here and try and do this thing differently than how they've been doing it.
I mean, it would definitely be easier to allow somebody that's already in the organization to just take that reign and take what you're doing. But Matt Arnold wasn't from this organization. He was from the Tampa Bay Rays. I think that's kind of the direction you have to go if you're not going to hire from inside, is go to other organizations that have found this success, that are those small market teams. Cleveland has been that team for a little while now. Maybe go to Cleveland's front office and see if there's anybody that's willing to kind of jump ship and come towards Milwaukee for that opportunity. I think Miami, honestly, has done a pretty good job of getting the prospects that they want and running with that and making sure that their team is built. Even if it's bad, it's their vision. It's not just constantly resetting to zero like the White Sox do just for the hell of it for the most part. They have a vision. Maybe go to Miami and see if anybody from there would want to come up. There's teams that are doing it right too. Maybe not at the same level as the Brewers, but maybe you could, with the coaching staff that they have and the roster that's here and an ownership that, yes, maybe isn't the most high spending, but obviously gives the team freedom. I think that could be a pretty enticing deal to some of these guys.
So I'm on the Brewers website right now, and I am looking at their front office directory to kind of see what this all looks like, right? So I don't know who the next person would be necessarily in charge of this thing at the end of the day. Matt Arnold is listed as general manager. Okay, fine. Assistant general managers, Matt Klein, who we've had on this show a couple times. Maybe Matt Klein is that guy. Will Hutchkins is that guy. Another guy. Special assistant to the GM. Take a guess who the special assistant to the GM is. You know this person.
I do? I feel like
well, maybe not know him like you know him, him, but you know who he is.
I mean, Ricky Weeks doing double duty out here. He's doing assistant manager, assistant general manager.
Doug Melvin.
Oh, really?
Doug Melvin, still employed by the Brewers, still getting paid by the Brewers.
I didn't know that.
As special assistant to the GM. So Doug Melvin has kind of been the godfather, I feel like, kind of looking over this whole thing with David Stearns and Matt Arnold. Now, how involved Doug Melvin is, Charlie, I don't know, but I'm okay with Doug Melvin still being involved.
Right. Why not? If he's a guy that you trust, which the organization obviously trusts, keep him around as long as he wants to be around. There's no reason to let a guy like that go.
Other guys that I like in this organization, I love Tom Flanagan. I know him, Senior Vice President, Player Operations, Baseball Administration. Love Todd Johnson. He's Vice President of Amateur Acquisition, another guy. Carlos Villanueva, the former Brewers pitcher, Senior Special Assistant to the General Manager. He's not that old. Why is he being called Senior? Anyways, so that's some of the stuff there on the Brewers. Coming up next, I see Tim Dillard waiting to get on and talk. Let's get to Tim Dillard. Coming up next, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's out here at Kelly's Bleachers on Bluemont. Come on out, say hi. And again, we are out here thanks in large part to Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM at 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, out here at Kelly's Bleachers on Bluemont. Shoutouts to and from the game tonight. Brewers and Giants out here to 5:30. Then it's the leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook with a big old hunk of love. Tommy Wirtz out here from 5:37. We got T-shirts, we got fan bags, we got bucket hats, we got stress balls, we got pop sockets for your phone, all kinds of stuff to give away out here. Courtesy of the Fan, all brought to you by Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka, refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. Joining us now on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. See him on YouTube. He is the one, the only, Tim Dillard. I gotta say, man, let me first say that I really appreciate you putting the suit coat on for this, knowing that, you know, you're going to be on YouTube, put the suit coat on in the break, the whole deal. Got all dressed up for us, got the orange sunglasses on. I mean, you're looking good, man.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a pretty normal day. They tell you what to wear, so it was sport coat day, and so here we are.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with that blue suit coat. We still got to get him a suit coat deal. There's got to be somebody out there, Men's Warehouse or otherwise. Let's get all these dudes on FanDuel Sports Network Wisconsin a suit coat deal and give them a variety to pick from going forward. We were talking about this before you came on, and that is, this Brewers team, I think you can make a very logical explanation of them being the best organization in baseball for the last, 10 to 15 years probably. And it's Doug Melvin. He hires David Stearns. David Stearns brings Matt Arnold with him from Tampa Bay. And then Matt Arnold is now that guy. And I was just saying, Dave Dombrowski is with the Phillies. Everywhere Dave Dombrowski has been, he's won. But he's always had large payrolls. They bought one in Miami with the Marlins down in Florida. He got another one with a large payroll in Detroit. He's got a large payroll in Philadelphia. I don't think Dombrowski could do what these guys are doing with this payroll in Milwaukee. Stearns now is under the pressure of operating with a big payroll in New York. Not sure how that's going to turn out, but a lot of pressure. If somebody were to try and hire Matt Arnold the way Tim Dillard, would your number one option be stay in-house, promote from within, keep the same thing going, right? Pull it the same way? Or would you be open to going outside of the organization?
Yeah, well, as soon as you leave, you got to relearn everything. And there's no guarantees out there. And you know what? Matt Arnold's doing a fantastic job. He's surrounded by fantastic people. Listen, some of these people in the organization have been here for decades, just like me, yep. But they're obviously good at their job. So
just like you.
Yeah, sometimes. But that's just it. You talk about a consistent winning formula. That's what the Brewers have put together. And it took a long time to do that, top to bottom. And to maintain that is tough to do at times, especially if there's quick turnover. So if you're a part of an organization like this and then you leave and go somewhere, I think the first thing you find out immediately is it's not like this everywhere. I played for a long time, and every 6-year free agent that would come over to the Brewers organization was like, wow, you guys are doing something right here. And then you can just see that, right? Year after year, the guys they pick up, they love it here. And there's a big reason. Listen, if they had the money, they probably would have kept Willy Adames. But I guarantee, if you ask Willy Adames, and I'm sure you'll hear interviews from him, he talked about how much he loved it in Milwaukee. So, yeah, this place is special, and people like being here.
What makes it special? What makes it different, the culture that the Brewers provide versus other teams around Major League Baseball?
Well, I would say the big thing is these guys are not trying to promote themselves. They're the coaching staff, the front office. They're trying to promote their players. They're trying to get them in a position to be successful. And some organizations and some coaches even, it's about, I want to win no matter what so that I can get promoted, right? I want to build my stock. And the way, that's probably not the right way to do it. You want a coaching staff that is all about the players and making them as good as possible, not putting their stamp on guys, which is a very common thing in baseball. So top to bottom, you have a group of humans that are trying to put these other humans on display and do what's best for them, right? It's almost like a parenting aspect of, whether it's off the field or on the field, we want to do this thing right. And the Brewers are proving that if you play the game the right way, you can be successful. That's why they're 80-game winners, is because, you know what? There's something to this, and it's going to send a ripple effect, I think, across baseball on the way you play baseball.
Here's Tim Dillard, FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin Brewers analyst. He's at American Family Field as we get ready for Brewers and Giants tonight, starting a 3-game set. And if you're on YouTube, the Fan Milwaukee on YouTube, you can see the beautiful stadium right behind Tim Dillard right now. When we talk about that Cubs series that the Brewers just got done with, you win 1, you lose 3, then you win the last one on the way out. I thought that was a big one, not only because it's 5-7, but also just to make yourself feel a little bit better coming home, coming off of that series, stopping a little 3-game skid, and getting yourself back up and pulling yourself back up. I said yesterday, look, there very well may be a downstretch between now and the end of the year, and that's okay if there is a downstretch between now and the end of the year. The key here is you have to be playing relatively well, I think, going into the postseason. That's the biggest thing. You just don't want to go into the postseason on a slide that last week and be struggling.
Well, I mean, I think it's not even that. I don't think any players are looking that far ahead. Christian Yelich had a great quote the other day. They were asking him about the next series. He goes, I'm not even sure who we're playing. And they probably think he's kidding around, but he is totally serious. These guys don't care who's coming up next. They don't care what's going to happen in a week or September or late September. All they know is that they have proven that if you play good fundamental baseball, you can win. It's not like they're searching for the secret formula. There's teams out there that have had success, and then they've had long stretches where they're not winning, and they're trying to figure out why in the world that is. This team knows if we play like this, we're going to win more games than we lose. They're not trying to find the formula. They have it. They know it. And now it's just about executing it as much as they can, the highest percentage they can. So, you know what? They didn't play perfect baseball on the 3 games that they lost, but they played good baseball. Cubs played a little bit better. You know, they scrolled into Chicago 8 games up. Now they're only 7 games up. To me, that's pretty successful in what this team's had to go through. So, again, I don't think they're worried about, hey, we got to get hot to get to playoffs. I think they know the correct way to win, and it's about doing that as many times as possible.
I don't know, the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it because I filled in earlier today on the Mason Crosby show with Mason. I asked him the same thing. So Isaac Collins leaves the Brewers for a couple of days to have the birth of his kid, obviously. Comes back, struggles, doesn't have a hit the whole series, gets the huge hit last night or yesterday afternoon to give him that cushion of 3 runs, and was a big moment for him, big moment for the Brewers. And I asked Mason, I was like, hey, man, you ever been in that situation during the season where you got to miss a game for the birth of a kid and so forth? He had 2 of them, but they were both right around preseason games. And both of them, he made it to the preseason game and still kicked. And those were preseason games. That wasn't even a regular season game. He still chose to go do that. But he saw the birth of both of those kids. For you, were you ever put into that situation?
No, actually, all 3 of my kids were born in the off season.
On purpose?
Can any of that stuff really be on purpose?
Hey, I'm telling you, like Mike Holmgren back in the day for the Packers, it's legendary stories of him telling his players, you better time it out right. You better not be having kids in the regular season and costing us you on the field during a regular season game.
Well, what little planning I guess you can try and do. My wife and I did want to have kids in the off season just so we can get like a little bit of runway before the hectic season starts where you're traveling all over the country. But my dad was a player and my dad was a coach when me and my brothers were born. So we all have summer birthdays. It's kind of a part of how it works. But I will say this, as a player, when you are used to playing every single day, you're used to showing up to the field, you have that rhythm, you have that kind of schedule. And then suddenly, for whatever reason, you miss 3 days. Man, I'm telling you, it feels like an eternity. And I think you could tell in some of the at-bats from Collins that he just wasn't as confident. He just didn't, you could tell something was off. And he was having at-bats that I don't think we've seen in several months. But you could tell it was coming. He got that walk one game, and then you could see, all right, he's seeing the ball a little bit better. And then, boom, it comes to fruition at the right time, getting that big 2-run single. So, yeah, it's a part of the game. I had to leave, I think, 2015? I think I should know this, but 2015, I pitched in a game through 5 innings, and then Rick Sweet, my AAA coach, shook my hand and said, okay, go drive home. I was in Colorado Springs, drove home 16 hours, and then had the birth of my 3rd kid, my 2nd son.
Oh, my goodness.
The next day. So, yeah, sometimes you cut that stuff close, but, hey, it's a part of life, man.
How did you stay awake? Was it a day game or a night game?
I had a couple of Red Bulls. It was a night game. Had all my stuff packed, went out in the mound through 5 innings, and because it was only like 2 or 3 games left in the season, they were like, you're not going to pitch anymore this year. So they were like, beat it. It's not like you're getting called up, brother. Beat it.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a crazy story. I'm glad I asked the question. Tim Dillard, follow him on Twitter at Dim Dillard, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Normally, he joins us every Thursday at 3:20, but obviously there was an afternoon game yesterday, so he joins us. Thomas, you mentioned before, talked to the reporters a little bit earlier. We'll have that on the leadoff show coming up between 5:30 and 7 out here at Kelly's Bleachers on Blue Mound. I will say this. I am really surprised by how well this team has played and kind of moved on from the loss of Willy Adames. And I really wasn't even about the bat. It was more about him kind of feeling like the heart and soul of that team last year, and then trying to figure out that chemistry with him in that clubhouse was my concern, I guess.
Well, the culture around him is real. He's an authentic player. We were out in San Francisco early in the year. I was walking by, heading to the truck or doing something. I'm in the tunnel. underneath the stadium, and I see him walking by to go to a press conference. He stopped what he was doing, came over, gave me a hug, asked me about myself, how's the family, how's the season going so far? And I'm like, dude, you got to give a post-game press conference for the San Francisco
Right.
Giants. Why are you talking to me? The guy is real. Everybody that's come in contact with him knows what kind of person he is and what he brings. The only comp I think I can give to it is from 2011 to 2012, the missing Prince Fielder. Once Prince Fielder left, 2012 did not feel the same. It was a good team, but you were missing that spark. You were missing that culture that followed Prince everywhere he went. And so I think that was probably what you're alluding to, that kind of concern of what's it gonna be like in the clubhouse now. But I think it was part of picking up that torch from a lot of guys, just knowing that this is a winning culture. This is what it looks like. Let's preserve that regardless of who's here. And as far as performance-wise, there was a big offensive performance that they were going to have to fill, and they're getting it in a lot of different ways from guys that we did not see coming. And as far as defense, I think we can all agree Joey Ortiz has filled the shortstop position magnificently. Curious to see what the diagnosis is going to be for him, a hamstring or whatever. Probably not in the lineup today, but I mean, that guy has been just a rock solid player for the Brewers this season.
See, that's the one thing. And I was thinking about this. I see people talking about Monasterio being the shortstop, but isn't the move just moving Turang to shortstop and letting Durbin go play second base and then doing whatever you want to do at third base, kind of going forward? I mean, Turang defensively is the next best defensive option behind Joey Ortiz on this team. Durbin's arm, yes, he plays third, but probably not the strongest third base arm you're going to find in Major League Baseball. So to have him at second makes sense. The problem is you're trying to redo chemistry because it's going to take a while for those two to get on the same page, playing together in the middle of that infield, I would think.
Maybe, but these guys take ground balls every single day. Monasterio takes ground balls at every position just because he's the ultimate utility man right now. However they shake it out, you better believe they're going to get the input of somebody like Turang and just kind of get an idea of what the best defense is going to look like. And I'm going to be honest with you, Durbin has done a fantastic job at third. If you go by defensive runs saved, if you go by whatever metric, I think he's in like the top 5 of third basemen, definitely in the top couple when it comes to National League. I think he's only beat out by a couple of players, and one of them is Brian Hayes, which is probably the best third baseman in the game defensively. So, I think he is solid at third. I don't care about the arm because the guy knows what he's doing. He's not faltered that much, and he's gotten better every single month. So if you suddenly move him to second, is he as strong? Who knows? If Monasterio's at third, is he as strong? Who knows? Turang at short, I think that guy can play anywhere. You could put Turang behind the dish. I think he would be fine if all of a sudden he had to be the catcher on the team. I feel like that kid can do anything.
Yeah, I agree with you. He is Tim Dillard. Follow him on Twitter, Dim Tiller. We'll talk to him again, I think, next Thursday. I didn't look at the schedule. If not, we'll do it a different day next week if it doesn't work out with the Brewers' day game. Because like Yelich, I don't know their schedule next week either. I know they play the D-backs, but I don't know what the times are for every game next week. Tim, thank you so much for coming on. I enjoy it. I enjoy looking at the blue suit coat, the orange glasses. It's a Tim Dillard look. Thank you so much. Enjoy the weekend. There it is. American Family Field, people, on YouTube. Check it out. Thank you so much. There goes Tim Dillard on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That is all out here at Kelly's Bleachers. And if you're looking for a place to stop, have a beverage, have something to eat, this is your place. Plus, you can take a shuttle right over to the game. We're out here in large part thanks to Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. And my thanks to them. We got T-shirts to give away. We got bucket hats. We got stress balls. We got pop sockets for your phones. We got 105.7 The Fan bags to give away. They can carry stuff in as well. Come on out. Say hi out here at Kelly's Bleachers on Blue Mound. Charlie, what's your move? What's your move if they say, and we're waiting, Pat Murphy's supposed to talk at 4. If Pat Murphy says Ortiz is out 4 to 6 weeks, that puts us at the end of the year. What's your move?
I mean, I guess it's Caleb Durbin is an everyday player at second base, and you move Bryce Turang to shortstop. They've been practicing it. They've been putting Turang at shortstop in the middle of games here. I mean, I think that's the easiest way to go about this. I know now you kind of have a little bit of a hole at third base, but, I mean, you've been trying to give Anthony Siegler those minutes. Just start giving him full-time minutes at third base. Tyler Black, bring him back up. One of these guys is going to play third base. Or you go with Burke or Fisher in the minor leagues, guys who have played in college ball recently, are older rookies, and you give them a shot.
Well, Burke's the first baseman, so that ain't gonna be Burke. Fisher, maybe. I mean, Fisher is playing at third, but again, he's a long ways away. I don't think there's really an option at the minor leagues. I think you have to play with what you have up here at the big league level. It's going to be a huge loss. Now, you can talk about him and his bat, but his bat's been getting better, Joey Ortiz. Defensively, he's better, I think. We haven't seen Terang at short in a minute, but I think he's better at short than what Terang is. But Terang is better at second. There's going to be a huge drop-off between Terang and whoever plays in place of Terang if they move him at shortstop. So hopefully, cross your fingers, this isn't bad news on Joey Ortiz. Again, we'll find out more from Pat Murphy coming up at 4 o'clock. Coming up next, we'll get to Charlie's Sounds of the Day, top 3 sound clips from today, and we'll find out what those are. We'll see if he keeps me happy here on a Friday. Hey, the meal of misfortune devised by Wednesday Addams is available now at Wendy's, where you must surrender to your fate. It comes with rest in 10-piece nugs, small cursed and crispy fries, and small Raven's Blood Frosty. And, of course, 2 of 4 mysterious dips of dread to up the torment. In Wednesday's words, it's pure torture, a tribute to suffering that awaits us all from the dips of dread. And the best part is you never know which you'll get. Each uniquely insufferable in its own torturous way. It's got to be Wendy's. Watch Wednesday, Season 2, only on Netflix. Available for limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's while supplies last. That's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live on the 1250 AM at 105.7 FM The Fan Studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan studio. Steve Sparky, Fifer with you. Time to get to our Charlie's Sounds of the Day.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on The Fan.
All right, time for 3 sound clips of the day from Charlie Usen, and a sound of the day brought to you by Prize Picks. So use the code Sparky when you download Prize Picks today. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Sparky, SPARKY, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. Let me help you out. It's daily fantasy, right? So if you take $5 for your first $5 deal with a lineup, you get that $5. They give you 50 more. If you do $5 lineups, you get 11 lineups for $5. Why wouldn't you use the code Sparky to get that done? So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code Sparky to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Take advantage of that now. All right, Charlie, it is Friday. I expect you to be nice and loving to me here on a Friday afternoon. Where are we going first?
I don't think I'm going to be mean at all, but also I never know. Sometimes I try to be nice and you're still angry about something. So that's not my fault.
Hold on.
What?
Now, in fairness, earlier today, had a dental procedure.
Mm-hmm.
When this show started at 2 o'clock, half my face was numb. And I got through it, and it's okay. The numbness has worn off. There is some throbbing possibly happening currently with my teeth. But other than that, I feel like I've been in a good mood most of the afternoon on this show. And I expect it to continue going forward. Plus, my guy Ed, who does our IT work and stuff, he just showed up, sat next to me. So now I feel safe.
Ed makes everybody feel better, yeah.
Ed does make everybody feel safe, yeah. All right, Charlie, what do you got?
All right, first up here, we're going to head over to foul territory, which you love, so that should be good. This is Buck Showalter discussing MLB teams not preparing pitchers properly in the minor leagues.
The other day, some guy got called up. It was a big prospect. So I kind of looked at his pitching log and looked in the back. He didn't pitch more than 4 or 5 innings in his starts. And they were talking about how he was going to come up and save the staff and help their bullpen. Well, if you're pitching 4 innings out of the bullpen every time this guy pitches, you're not saving a bullpen. And, I think where our issue is that we're not – I know when I started with the minor leagues, and I hate saying that, but as a manager – we were not allowed to take our guys out of the game before they threw 100 pitches. They said, hey, let them learn how to get out of the stuff. They should throw between the 90 and 100, and you leave them out there. I remember going out there and going, hey, you notice I got nobody up in the bullpen? You better figure this stuff out. But yet we don't train them for what we expect them to do in the big leagues.
Okay, so this is the thing. And look, Buck Showalter, longtime manager of Major League Baseball. Buck Showalter, more of the idea of my guy's throwing 90 pitches every time he goes out. This crap of pitching 5 innings and pulling a guy with the 75 pitches like we've seen before from the Brewers is not a Buck Showalter deal. That is not how Buck Showalter operates. So Buck Showalter, again, to his credit, he looks at the minor leagues. I don't know who he was talking about. Maybe he was looking at – was he looking at – no, Bubba Chandler's going to the bullpen for Pittsburgh, so it wasn't Bubba Chandler. But whoever he was looking at, he wasn't very impressed because of the pitch counts that they were throwing and the innings they were throwing down in the minor leagues. And now you're going to come up here and ask that same player to start in the big leagues. What I personally like to see these guys, throw more pitches, more innings in the minor leagues and stretch these guys out at AA or AAA to where they're pitching 6-7 innings before they come up to Major League Baseball. Me personally, Sparky, yes. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. Because so many times these organizations that are smart and know what they're doing don't want their starting pitchers going a third time through the lineup. So 9 out of 10 times you're pitching at most 6 innings and then you sit, because even if you're pitching well, that's 2 times through. And if you've got 3 good guys on the back end of the bullpen with Uribe and Jared Koenig and McGill, there is no reason to run the starter back out there again if you feel like your 3 guys can shut down this offense that has not seen them the whole game. So as much as he doesn't like it, and I agree, I don't like it either, I don't think it's changing, Charlie.
I don't think it is either. I think also just the injury concern with some of these players, you have to look at the way they're throwing the ball. some of these pitches, the changeup that Freddie Peralta has, some of these pitches that Devin Williams threw when he was with the Brewers, guys weren't throwing with that type of movement with the same kind of velocity 15 years ago even. This is all brand new, and you've got like 4 or 5 guys on every team that feel like they're throwing 100 miles per hour. And not only are they throwing 100 miles per hour, but they have a 95 mile per hour slider that goes from corner to corner. Like, that's insane. No other era of baseball has had that. And with that comes a lot of injuries. I don't think it's about moving backwards and trying to train these players how you used to. It's about adapting and figuring out how to keep these guys in the game longer, but also not take away from the talent that they're showing out here. It's insane what Jacob Mizorowski can do, and I'm really worried he's going to get injured, but also I trust the Brewers to adapt and try to find a way to keep him healthy while he's with the organization. And I think other teams are going to start getting to that point.
Yeah, I think they have to. And again, I don't know why you wouldn't look at the Brewers if you're another organization and start to model your organization around what the Brewers are doing. And I don't give a damn what your payroll is. I don't care if you have a $300 million payroll or if you have a $75 million payroll. This organization is doing things right, and they know how to do player evaluation. They have that pitching lab, which is amazing, and they're continuously developing pitchers. You could pick up some person here at Kelly's Bleachers on Bluemont, where we are today, and Chris Hook will make him into a viable reliever probably by the end of next week. He's that good, right? So from that perspective, that, I think, is something that everybody can follow. And this organization does not believe in guys pitching 7-8 innings on a consistent basis. And that is not going to change anytime soon with this current group in charge, and nor should it, because it's been working, Charlie. Clip number 2.
All right, next up, we're going to head over to First Take, where Paul Feinbaum was on the show, and he had some words for Jim Harbaugh over this whole Michigan scandal that's been going on.
I mean, he stole a national championship. It's simple as that. He used Connor Stallions, and then he lied, he obfuscated, he misled. He's truly beyond hypocrisy. And this is the same guy, Chris and Stephen A. and Kimberly, that shot arrows at everybody a couple of years earlier. He accused Nick Saban of cheating, he accused Kirby Smart. He just blanketly accused everyone. And now look at him holding up a banner. And as soon as he gets the bonus, he hightails it out of town with no penalty. Now, do I expect anyone at the Chargers or the NFL office to do anything? Of course not. But it would be nice if somebody acknowledged it. It would be nice if Harbaugh even addressed the situation, which, of course, he has not and will not.
Okay, so I forgot who it was, but somebody in the last week, somebody prominent, suggested that Harbaugh should be suspended.
Urban Meyer.
By the NFL. Urban Meyer, that's who it was, right. Yeah.
I didn't want to play the Urban Meyer clip.
Meyer
I
on
like
any
Feinbaum better.
Yeah, I understand. I don't know if you listen to Urban Meyer. But Urban Meyer's point was true, which is, hey, man, Jim Tressel got in all that trouble at Ohio State, right? He got penalized. The whole thing going on with Pryor and the tattoo and whatever else was going on back in the day. So he gets penalized at Ohio State, gets booted out of college football, right? So then he lands a gig with the Colts as like a video analyst or some crappy role they made up for him to get him in the building. And the NFL suspended Tressel from even being in the building to start the season as a damn video analyst. He wasn't on the field coaching. He wasn't anything like that. And the NFL dropped the hammer on him and said, nope, you got in trouble there and you're going to be in trouble here. Well, where is that same penalty for Jim Harbaugh? And I understand that was years ago, but that same penalty should be in place for Harbaugh like it was Tressel. They set a precedent back then, and that same thing should be held up now.
I think the big difference is that the NFL really wanted Jim Harbaugh back in the NFL. And if you do something like that, I think that contradicts what their plans were. I think they tried as hard as they could to get Jim Harbaugh back from Michigan. And for the longest time, I thought Jim Harbaugh was just going to stick in Michigan because he had everything there. He had full control at the University of Michigan, and he was like a hero to all of them. And then this happened, and he decides to hightail it to the NFL, and the NFL welcomed him in with open, wide arms. If they were going to do something, they should have done it when the Chargers hired him, because there were still issues then with the Michigan and the team that they were getting penalized for. So if you were going to penalize him, he should have been penalized already. That's the two biggest issues, is that the NFL wanted him and that they're way too late on the punch here.
Yeah, I don't understand. I really don't. And there's not been a lot made of it. I mean, outside of Urban Meyer and now Paul Feinbaum, nobody else has really lobbied to get Harbaugh suspended at this point. And because it's pro football, coaches aren't willing to go after other coaches. Now, if this was college football, right? Brett Bielema would have a microphone in his hand every day with a camera and be yelling and screaming for Harbaugh to be suspended for whatever it was that happened. Bielema would be out there.
He was just on Gallic and Gallic, and he was talking. They were talking about the Michigan situation, like the whole.
What did he say?
I couldn't hear. I was just kind of reading it, but he was talking about how it was kind of like a disgrace that it took this long to get him penalized and all of that, and just kind of saying his normal Bielema stuff.
Bielema is very outspoken and arrogant and cocky and everything else that I could throw at him. So that's who he is. But he would be. There's no question. If this was college football, Lane Kiffin, if that was in his conference, he'd be throwing an almighty fit to everybody about how he should be suspended. But it's the NFL. And in the NFL, all these coaches play nice. It's a big fraternity. Nobody's going after anybody. And that's how this rolls. So nobody's going to go after him. But, I mean, can you imagine Andy Reid in Kansas City saying, oh, Harbaugh should be suspended? Not happening. He's not going after him. Pete Carroll, with what he did at USC, Pete Carroll can't say nothing about Jim Harbaugh being suspended. Shh, don't look at me, Pete Carroll. Don't look over here, right? So, I mean, from that perspective, there's really not anybody that's really going to go after him that doesn't have questionable stuff going on at this point, or have, the pristine character and Super Bowl champion and doesn't want to mess with getting into the mud with Jim Harbaugh at this point at the NFL level. All right, third sound clip, Charlie Sounds of the Day, brought to you by Prize Picks. What do you got?
And last up here, we're going to head over to the Jim Rome Show, where Trevor Hoffman, former Brewers closer, was giving some love to his former team, the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Brew Crew, man. I actually totally forgot about what's going on there because they're starting to run away with the Central. But, Murph might have had a tough spot coming in here with a veteran team, just getting Buddy Black moved out. It was a tough environment for Pat to come into. But, man, he has done an amazing job sitting behind counts for a few years in Milwaukee, getting his shot the past 2 years, National League Manager last year. Just does a great job of motivating people, getting the right guy for the right position, and getting the most out of them. What they're doing, baseball world isn't surprised. Outside of Milwaukee, they're just doing their thing, man. They're playing good baseball. I wouldn't want to run into these guys anytime soon. What they're doing is pretty incredible.
I think they're amazing. I love them. I think they're a great story. I love the fan base, man. They are in love with their team. And anytime we talk about them, Trevor, on this show, man, the engagement is so great. So I'm really happy for them. What about the analytics of the thing? It says that if you don't hit a lot of home runs, that you're not going to fare well in the postseason. Could that leave them at a disadvantage?
I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to argue that number. Like, you don't hit a home run the last 5 years, you finished outside of the World Championship. Okay, I get it. But they're not taking into account the intangibles that might take precedent for that home run and those runs that were scored by getting a guy over early in the game, getting him in, and running with a lead. Everything in postseason baseball is about momentum. And momentum isn't game to game. It's not inning to inning. It's pitch to pitch. And so if you can get leads early in postseason baseball and hang on to them and keep putting the pressure on your opponent, I don't think you need the home run.
Interesting. I don't think have the Nerds found a way, nothing against the Nerds, have they found a way to factor in momentum?
I don't think anybody has. I think that's why you see managers, when given the opportunity to strike and use that bullet for that particular game to win it. We saw it in Game 5 in New York last year with Doc. Like, he shot his bullet there. He didn't want to go back to Los Angeles with a one-game lead with 2 left to play and giving a little momentum to the Yankees. He shot his shot, and it worked. And you're going to see a lot of managers in postseason baseball that momentum is everything.
All right, so I appreciate the love, obviously, on the Milwaukee Brewers and what he had to say. But like everybody else, if the Brewers pull this off, if the Brewers win the World Series, and do it with, what their barrel percentage is and all of these other numbers that factor into who wins the World Series every year. And if they break that mold and do it their way, how many teams do you think will attempt to copycat the Milwaukee Brewers after this year going into the following? Again, like we've talked about before, Golden State, right? With Steph Curry and those guys, people try to copycat them. If a certain offense wins a Super Bowl, people try to copycat that offense. If a certain defense is really good and gets a team to a Super Bowl, people try to copycat that defense. Will people try to copycat the Milwaukee Brewers' way of doing things if they win this thing?
Maybe, but I don't think it's going to be as many teams as you probably expect it to be. I think there's going to be some organizations that are going to take the chance, but also I don't think too many people took the Washington Nationals approach after they won a World Series. I think it kind of just went back to the big money, and the Nationals they're doing some good things. They traded away their star players when they couldn't pay them for younger talent that they're hoping breaks out here pretty soon, which some of them have. CJ Abrams, James Wood has worked out. But you don't really see teams saying, oh, we're going to take the national approach. No, they're saying we're going to take the Dodgers approach. Once we get enough money here, we're just going to go and spend it as much as we can while also having a good farm system. The Brewers go and win this World Series, yeah, there might be a few teams, but I think they need to win more. They need to win more than one. They need to be in the NLCS a couple more times, and then teams will start taking note.
Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll get our green and gold update. Before that, though, the Brewers have announced some transactions. Not good news for Joey Ortiz, shortstop for the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll tell you what that's all about coming up next. So Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, out here at Kelly's Bleachers on Blue Mound. Come hang out with us, take a shuttle to and from the game. Plus, baseball calls for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. No bubbles to fill you up. It's the perfect game day sipper, and only $5 today here at Kelly's Bleachers. $5 for that Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Come take advantage of that. We're here till 7 o'clock tonight. Come stop out, get yourself a T-shirt, a hat, a Pop-A-Socket, a fan bag, all kinds of stuff to give away out here at Kelly's Bleachers. Coming up next, we'll tell you the latest on the Brewers, and we'll get to our green and gold update here on The Fan.